Yo, what's going on YouTube? Jen Moses here back with another My Team podcast for NBA 2K24. That's for my boy Harry, who's joining us today. We're going to be sharing our thoughts and giving out a letter grade for Season 1 in NBA 2K24 My Team. And with that said, not much of an intro. Harry, how are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good. Great to be back. I think this will be a fun podcast because I think there's been positives, negatives, everything in between. So I think this will be one good conclusive kind of video to wrap up our final thoughts, what we really think about the season from beginning to end. And yeah, no, I'm excited to really get into it.
Yeah, me too. Just full disclosure for you guys, we're going to be recording two podcast episodes tonight. The first of which is going to be this one with our season 1 recap, and the next one will be our preview for season 2. So trying to do a couple of shorter form content videos as opposed to 1 hour long plus video. While we're discussing our thoughts, I'll probably be hopping into a domination game for the Amari Stoudemire Ruby agenda. It's the last agenda for season 1, and I figured why not have some 2K gameplay while we're sharing our thoughts. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Harry. What is your general grade for 2K24's My Team Season 1, and how did you get to the grade that you're giving it?
Okay, so uh, I've spent a little bit of time thinking, and I think optimistically on a very positive, like trying to give 2K leeway here. I'm gonna give it a B, just a solid B. I think one thing I mentioned in the last, video we did, but because of the new player market and how the My Team mode is structured, I think this is like the freshest My Team has felt in a very long time. So I think that alone heightens my grade because I think from the player market being added, even though it's definitely not perfect or even close by any means, but it added a new freshness to the mode from being able to make so much more MT than we've ever had in any 2K just from playing the game. The fact that I was able to hit over 1 million just from the first couple weeks alone, just from really playing a lot of it, I think is great. I think the rewards for every game mode was, they were pretty solid. I think a lot of times 2K will just throw out some random player you've never heard of in your life. So I'm glad that every reward was fun. Even as someone like a De'Aaron Fox that I got from Domination, I love him. He's such a fun card. I think the pacing is something they've done really good this year. Jan and I complain. I feel like every year where they're like, oh, we're releasing a pink diamond day one, and we're like, 2K, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So I think letting us be able to enjoy rubies and golds and sapphires was great. So over and the I know I keep talking, but the events that they've done where you're not only able to get more MT, but players getting that diamond Chris Bosh from going 15-0. The fact that we were all able to get a free amethyst, which is the best card in that the series, whichever one it was, where I got my John Morant. Jan got a who'd you get again? You
I
got
got
a
DeMar.
DeMar DeRozan. That's
Yep.
right. So I think stuff like that, I think they've been very good when it comes to events. There's been a lot of them so far. Stuff that hasn't been too like where you're grinding, you have to grind every week, or has to be an excessively long grind, like the D Wade grind. The fact that we all got a free D Wade from a somewhat easy grind. So overall, yeah, I think 2K has been doing a great job. I think the two main things that would have made it better in my eyes, and which could have made it an A, is one, communication. I think the communication has sucked.
Definitely.
I'll be blunt. I think that, or blunt. I think that whether it was the negatives about the player market or negatives about other things in the mode, I think 2K hasn't done a great job of telling the community what they're planning on doing, whether they're keeping it the same way it is or fixing it instead of just leaving us kind of in the wind, not knowing how stuff is going to work. Like, if you're going to release a player market, fine, but let us know stuff like, price reductions and discounts. Give us information so we're informed on when to buy players and we know what's going on. So I think that would have been better. And obviously the elephant in the room, the player market, I think that kind of hindered the mode for me. I mean, for a while I was scared to buy players because the player reduction when you're selling your cards is just horrendous. Like, it's so you're losing 60% compared to the 10% in previous 2Ks. I think that stuff like I said, not being informed on what's going on, the discount of the days being so like randomized. One, you can get I got the Vince Carter for a very cheap price, and the next week you had another amethyst with barely any discount. I think that the fact that there was a 5% reduction in price after the 3 weeks was very underwhelming, you know. So overall, yeah, I think the player market and the communication definitely prevented this mode from getting to an A because I think it very well so could have with the MT earnings this season, the gameplay being so good, and other things. So yeah, that's my grade for this season. I think I'm being very generous with that grade, and I'm curious what you think.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it. I ended up doing triple threat offline to try to get the blocks. I agree. I mean, I think you gave it a B. That was your ultimate grade that you gave.
Yep. Yep.
I think a B is a pretty fair grade. I gave it originally a B plus. And I think it's also kind of important to state that when it came to our approach, I know I've mentioned this on our previous podcast before. Harry played much more online than I did. I only played a couple of clutch time online games, a handful of salary cap online games, and I played a few TT online. I think I played roughly 30 or so. I still have not completed the grind for Chris Bosch. I have played 2 TT online games since the gauntlet started. I'm 2-0, and I've not touched it since. So I may go and get Kawhi Leonard as soon as this weekend. But I've been playing mostly offline, and I feel like for offline, I really enjoyed playing domination, grinding out some of the challenges. And so as a casual player, I give it a B plus. I feel like not having the auction house as someone who is a casual player, but I used to grind the auction house all the time. I used to spend hours upon hours sniping on the auction house. That was how the Broth Cindy 2K fandom, I feel like, started when it came to MyTeam. I feel like a lot of our following in our first run on Twitch was from me getting on MyTeam after work back in 2014, 2015, 2016, and me just getting on the auction house and calling nines, as we used to call them, during the refresh every 15 minutes, and just sniping and building up my MT that way. And now that I don't have the time for that anymore, I kind of selfishly like that is not in the game, because I like that I'm being forced to grind the game. I don't want to get home from work at like 8 o'clock and feel like, oh, well, it's more profitable for me to sit on the auction house. I can just play the game and earn a pretty solid amount of MT. And I think that is true. I mean, one thing that I like is domination, because I felt like we were getting so much MT. But one thing I wish that we didn't have was I almost call it a salary cap, the MT cap at 4,000. I kind of wish it was a little bit higher, because I just feel like if I'm hitting 4,000 MT every single game, then maybe I could have been getting more MT. Maybe I was actually playing better than I should have and not getting rewarded as much. But I really enjoyed domination for the most part. That De'Aaron Fox card, really, really good. A lot of the reward cards I felt like in season 1 were okay to maybe slightly above average, but De'Aaron Fox is one of those cards that when I was playing against Harry in a TT Online friendly, I was getting cooked, and I knew that I needed that card to sort of be like my band-aid until I got Kyrie Irving, and then ultimately now Dwayne Wade's diamond from the Pyramid of Power. And speaking of Pyramid of Power, that's one of the biggest. The events in general in season 1 are one of the biggest reasons that I'm giving 2K's MyTeam in NBA 2K24 a B plus. Whether it's the Dunktober Equal Chance packs that we got via those agendas that were a week long. As Harry mentioned, I got the DeMar DeRozan, he got John Morant. Fast Break, which I couldn't even get involved in because I had to go out of state for a wedding, so I missed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I wasn't able to get the Clyde Drexler or the Draymond Green, but that was pretty great to have a chance to go and get 2 free amethysts just by playing relatively easy or grinding out relatively easy agendas. I thought that was great. The Gauntlet is really cool because, we talked about ways that you could amend it, but the fact that you can grind and not have to pay to get a really good top tier power forward in Chris Bosh is amazing. And then the Pyramid of Power is great. I mean, I know the buy-in was pretty polarizing, but it really wasn't all that expensive. And once you got the cards, it was a really easy grind, and you could sell the Sapphires back, and you're ultimately paying anywhere from like 50 to 60K for an Amethyst Dominique Wilkins, Amethyst Kevin Love, and a Diamond Dwayne Wade, which is really, really good, I think. So that I really liked. The player pacing, I really did like it. I felt like Sapphires and Rubies had so much value in season 1, and even some Emeralds, like for salary cap, for example, like that Emerald Robert Covington that came out around the halfway mark, maybe the 3/4 mark of season 1. I think it's going to be a really valuable card still in salary cap going into season 2, where diamonds are still going to reign supreme as the top tier card tier that we're getting. So I really do like the player pacing. I kind of like the player market to an extent. What I don't like is you can't get your hands on budgety cards, which means you're really, if you're like Harry and I, who are very frugal with our MT, you're really only getting cards for your lineup that are reward cards or cards that you genuinely really want. There is no trying out the budgety Sapphire card. There is no real budget lineup because all Sapphires basically cost the same if they come out on the same day. Same with Rubies. And I don't want to be spending anywhere from whatever it is, 50 to 70K on a Ruby right now. I just don't want to do it when we're getting really good amethysts and diamonds now every single week. I mean, we'll be talking about this in the season 2 preview. We have a couple of really nice diamonds, including a diamond insert that's going to be in packs coming tomorrow. And so I'm not going to be wanting to spend 70K on a Ruby when we have diamonds coming in packs. I'd rather be saving my MT for a player like, or players like that if I want to be spending. Like Harry, a big issue for me is the lack of communication. We've had a few different issues in MyTeam. Like, we wanted to know about, you know, the player prices being reduced by 5%, no communication on how that's going to play out going forward. Another issue is there were a set of packs that came out that I forget which set of packs it was, Harry. Maybe you know about this, but I think it dropped last Friday, and for 15 minutes, the pack description, like the odds, showed 100% odds for rubies, and people ripped packs. They did not get rubies, and then 15 minutes later, they adjusted the graphic. In MUT, that would have been a make right 100%. It would have been communicated to the community that make rights will be coming out. And I don't know if we ever got make rights. I didn't buy any of those packs because I don't buy packs. But I didn't see any make right issued to anyone on Twitter. So the lack of communication is a really big issue for me. And then another issue for me, the rewards being mostly unsellable is an issue. I feel like you look at a game mode like Unlimited. I don't play Unlimited. But the people that play Unlimited and they get an ungodly number of wins, to be rewarded at the top end with an unsellable 20-pack box is really frustrating. I don't really get why we have unsellable cards in a game mode where there is no auction house, because nothing is sellable. Everything is quick sellable. That's all it is. So why punish the players by just giving us, like, you're putting in an excuse to get us less MT when we get players. Like, I just got an unsellable pack for logging in today on a Thursday, and I know that if I get a gold that I don't have, that's great, but if I do, it's going to end up quick selling for a couple hundred MT. I don't really love that. Like, the quick sells are already shafted as it is. Don't make the quick sells even worse for us that are trying to grind the game and having to open up packs that are unsellable and quick selling unsellable players for a fraction of what their sellable versions go for. So those are my main issues that I can think of. Again, really solid season, just like Harry said. Overall, B+ for me. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy playing the game. I like that 2K came into my team's my team this year in 2K24 and said, we, for whatever their reasons are, we want the community not to be on the auction house. We want them to play the game more. And I think that's generally healthier for the game. Like, if we're all playing virtual basketball more and not auction house simulator 2K24, I think that itself makes it a better game mode and a better state of game for all of us playing. But there clearly are a lot of things that they can improve on, and hopefully they will in season 2, because I mean, I'm sure Harry and I will get to it in the next video. We're not very optimistic right now. But in terms of season 1, those are all my thoughts. Harry, any closing thoughts before we wrap up season 1 thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you had some great points. I will say also, as another positive, like you said, I am happy that, like, you know, I've said before, that you've said, we're getting back to the basics of playing a basketball game for a game, and I think that's awesome. You know, I think I've kind of noticed over the course of the past couple weeks is, I think by playing a lot of 2K lately, I'm more excited for the NBA to begin than I have in a long time. I think that, you know, when I used to snipe and that was the primary thing I would do on 2K, I would notice I wouldn't be that, I wouldn't get that feeling that I have to watch basketball to keep up with stuff going on in the league, because I was playing like a game inside of a game with sniping and auction and worrying about the market prices. But I think getting back to the game and playing a lot of it, I think it's made me really looking forward to the season to begin. So I will give props to 2K because I think it's a cycle where you play 2K, you want to watch NBA. And by watching NBA, it makes you want to play 2K and kind of replicate that in the game. So I think it's a good thing and a healthy thing like you said. But yeah, that's about it. I think we did a pretty good, solid job of hitting on the positives and negatives of season 1.
Yeah, I agree. And shout out to Harry. I had my doubts that we were going to be able to keep this video pretty short, but I feel pretty good about the length of this one. Not too long.
We did it.
We did it. We finally did it. I mean, our last video, Harry and I were talking about it, and we have time to now kind of go off script here because we did such a good job with this one. Our last video that we recorded together was meant to also be a short video, and that ended up being roughly 36 minutes. So I don't know how long this one's going to be. I don't really want to check right now and ruin what you're seeing on the screen, which is my pause menu. So we are going to end it right here, though. We will see you guys, hopefully, in our second part of tonight's doubleheader, where we share our thoughts on Season 2 coming to MyTeam tomorrow. And if you have any thoughts for Season 1, let us know in the comments below. What's your letter grade, and what would be the one thing that you would improve in MyTeam if you were a game developer for the game mode heading into Season 2? That's all we got for you. Until next time, we'll see you later.